Hey everybody, this video is part of our full-length The Onside Kick podcast. You can find that on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes. You can pretty much find it anywhere, so we don't care where you listen. Just stick around and check it out.
This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, along with the Mark Weber.
Dub them ease.
And thank you for joining us here for another Onside Kick. And if you're on YouTube, hi, you can finally see us this week as we decided to do a video podcast. We've got a jam-packed show. A jam-packed show to where if you're on Blog Talk Radio, you got two podcasts that you have to download.
Double podcast.
YouTube, you guys know the deal. You got individual segments, but we got a lot. And I mean, for podcast one, which this is, we're going to talk just coaches. So we're going to be looking at Anthony Lynn. He's hired by the Chargers, or close to at this moment. The Broncos and Vance Joy. We got the Rams and Sean McVoy. Or, I'm trying to think, the Bills with Sean McDermott. We've got Marone with the Jacksonville Jaguars, but more importantly, Tom Coughlin with the Jaguars. There's a lot of names and a lot of teams to keep track of, to where when we were preparing for this, I couldn't remember which teams were looking for head coaches, but we're going to start off. We got to get right into it. Mm-hmm. We're going to start with the Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers. First time saying that on the Onside Kick. And Mark, I'm gonna hit you with the simplest of questions.
Yeah.
Was this the right hire? Was Anthony Lynn the right hire for the LA Chargers?
You know, here's the thing. It's
kind of nice to say that. Like, hey, it's got a nice ring, LA Chargers.
Yeah, you think so?
I feel bad for San Diego, but it's got a nice ring.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that the Los Angeles Chargers are a nothing organization at the moment. They hire a guy who was a coach for one game. He lost it. No, it was against the Chiefs, but it was against Chiefs in Week 17. Mm-hmm. So you lose a game. Nothing that great. You're part of this Bills organization that everybody wants to get out of. Nobody wanted to be a part of it. Everybody got fired. Offensive coordinator got fired. Defensive coordinator got fired. The head coach got fired. Everybody got fired. It's just, to me, it's like, sure, people like the idea of Anthony Lynn. He was getting some attention. But, you know, he started the year as an assistant coach, got promoted up after, like I said, a coordinator got fired. This team, to me, this was probably the least desirable job because of the LA move right now, because this is a team that doesn't have fan base anymore.
I would say even before the LA move.
Probably,
because there was still the uncertainty of everything. New stadium, the move, the Phillip Rivers, what's going to go on with this team.
But now everybody hates you. So Anthony Lynn is going to get
you.
A lot of people are pissed off about this move. A lot of people are mad about it. And Anthony Lynn, congratulations. You're pretty much the face of it, because people aren't going to hate on Phillip Rivers. People love Phillip Rivers.
No, they're going to hate on Spanos. That's who they're going to hate on.
But they're not going to see him. They're going to see Anthony Lynn as the head coach. Well, he's going to get a lot of blame.
Well, it's going to be, you're the head coach. You better start winning, especially in a town like LA.
I think that this is an okay hire for the Los Angeles Chargers.
It's gonna be a long year saying that, Mark.
It's a little rough. Because if you're an MVP fan, you remember that I have high hopes for the Chargers every year. But you know, it's an okay hire. But to me, it's like, I don't think there's gonna be much success for the LA Chargers right now. And I think that I don't want to completely go off the rails here, but I think this could potentially be very career damaging for Anthony Lynn. This could be the thing where he goes in there, he gets like a year. If he's lucky, he'll get a second year, because I don't think they're going to be too successful. And boom, out. He had his one chance to be a head coach. He didn't exactly pick the best scenario to do it in, just because of all the changing. You know, Phillip Rivers threatened that he was going to retire if they moved to LA. He said he would rather retire than play a game in LA. And I don't know, is he going to actually have the balls to do it? Let's see. But if he does, damn, Anthony Lynn, now you don't have a quarterback. I just think it was, for a new head coach, this was a risky place to start your head coaching career.
Well, and the thing that I was thinking about with this job is they were like, oh, who's going to be the head coach for this team? Yeah, taking a drink and messing up.
I don't think that was me. I've been blaming it on you.
But point being, I thought Ken Wisenhunt was the guy that was going to get this job. That's who I thought was, because to me, I thought, and this was before the LA move. This was earlier this week. I was just thinking, hey, you know what? The Chargers are probably, out of all the teams that needed head coaches, the way that I looked at it, the Broncos are the most appealing because they're probably, although I was right and they didn't make the playoffs, they're a team that can come back and make the playoffs next year. All they need is a quarterback. And they're probably the most appealing. The second most appealing might have been either to me, it's a three-way tie for that second with the Bills, the Jaguars, and the Chargers, because these are all teams where the Jaguars, it's all potential. You get the right guys in there to develop that team.
Well, they have
a
lot
potential.
of young talent.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm using the P word,
Yeah.
potential. The Bills, it's like you have Tyrod Taylor, who I love. In the comment section, someone compared him. Like, I see him as like a Joe Flacco type of name at quarterback, where it's like, could my team win a Super Bowl with Tyrod? Maybe, but I'm going to need a really good defense and pieces around him. Like, he's a good quarterback, but he's not going to transcend the game. Yeah, he's not going to transcend the game and be the best like a Tom Brady. So it's like they have a quarterback, they have a running back in LaShawn McCoy. They've got pieces there. And then the Chargers, who, yeah, the defense is like, the defense has pieces, but really that offense is, I would say, with Melvin Gordon, Phillip Rivers, and then a healthy Keenan Allen.
It's really just, to me, it's just the passing game is all you have in San Diego.
I mean, Melvin Gordon stepped up this year, and if you can feel
but they
like
still were
he
one of
can,
the worst rushing teams
they
in
weren't
the NFL.
perfect, and that's the thing that I'm interested with this, is I thought the Chargers would say, hey, you know what, because we're in that second tier, let's go with a guy that has at least been in these shoes before. And that's why I thought they would have promoted Ken Wisenhunt, because he's a guy who in Arizona, he went 40, like the records aren't great. I know 45 and 51 ain't great, but that was because in 2010 and 2012, he did have those 5-11 seasons. Everything else was 5-5 or above. He had the 9-7 year where they went to the Super Bowl, and then the 10-6 year where they went to the divisional round game and lost to the New Orleans Saints. And then he also had in Tennessee, he went 2-14 and then 1-6 before getting fired. And you're probably saying, well, Ricky, those are shit records, but that Tennessee team just wasn't clicking with Wisenhunt at the front. And maybe that's the reason why they didn't go with Wisenhunt. Because, he had the experience, but maybe that last stint in Tennessee.
I think experience is really something I thought they would go for. You know,
because they have a veteran roster.
A veteran roster, and they are a team that is changing a lot. And I think you would have either wanted consistency where you promote from within, or you would have wanted a veteran who you know is going to be that no-nonsense kind of guy. Hey, you know what? Do what we can to get the morale up. If the locker room is having trouble, a guy who will stomp it out right off the bat. I don't necessarily know that that's going to be Anthony Lynn. Maybe he can prove us wrong in that case. But I just think that it's an interesting move. It's a little bit of a risky move. What I'm most interested in, and maybe in podcast 2 of the Onside Kick this week, you guys will hear us talk more about the Chargers. I'm interested to see what happens with Phillip Rivers.
Well, and that's the thing where I think if I'm Phillip Rivers, because of the hire of Anthony Lynn, I don't retire. I know you're upset. Like, I know you're like, well, if we move to LA, I'm retiring. But if I'm Phillip Rivers, this Anthony Lynn move, the experience part is maybe his only knock. Like, besides that, what Anthony Lynn brings to the table as a head coach, a ground and pound head coach who believes that, you know, running the football, keeping the defense off the field and rested, and then using the run game to create opportunities for the passing game, that's something that if I'm Phillip Rivers, I'm going, okay.
That's why they drafted Melvin Gordon.
Well, yeah,
that was the point.
They have Melvin Gordon, and also
it just hasn't happened yet.
The one thing that, and this is why I think that the Chargers, I know in my mock draft I had him going there. I don't know if you did. I think if Mike Williams is there for the Chargers at 10, take him. Especially after that national championship game, because I know we're going to get to Deshaun Watson in podcast numero dos, but I'm going to say it right now. Mike Williams was one of the bigger reasons why Clemson won that championship game. Deshaun Watson played well, but really, Mike Williams made some fucking awesome catches in that game to where I'm like, he's a top 10 receiver, or like a top 10 pick in this draft based off of that game. And I know I'm a believer of you got to watch all the film, but he's the complete package at wide receiver. And that is something, like, if they can draft a kid like him, then it doesn't matter for the Chargers if only our wide receivers could stay healthy, because then Phillip Rivers would have someone to throw to when Melvin Gordon opens up those opportunities in the Anthony Lynn offense.
It's going to be interesting to see what Phillip Rivers does, I think, especially because he's got so many damn kids. And he's a family man. And his big reason why he didn't like the LA thing, and like I said, we'll talk about it more in podcast 2, I'm sure, but he didn't like it because he doesn't want to uproot his family. I'm just saying that...
he doesn't have to. It's about a 3-hour drive.
It's a 3-hour drive. It's a long fucking drive.
It's also a 3-hour drive to go from Los Angeles to Los Angeles.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, yeah, exactly. You're saying
it's a 405
You're saying it's a 3-hour drive. I'm pretty sure it's like a 6-hour drive when you factor in traffic. But here's the thing. The San Diego Chargers job has a chance to be a good job. It does. It definitely has, because the team has a lot of pieces that are there. There's not that much out there that's really stopping you. The problem is it also has so much potential to go horribly wrong. And I guess a young coach like Anthony Lynn, once again, like I said, wants the fuck out of Buffalo, of course, because everybody does. But apparently he's willing to take that risk, and, more power to him in that case for being willing to take that risk. But there's so much potential for it to go horribly wrong really fast.
Well, and the thing is, and the most important thing to this is, I feel like if you go back to the original question that we asked, is Anthony Lynn the right hire here for the Chargers? I'm going to say yes, but I'm saying it hesitantly. And the reason why I'm saying it hesitantly is because it all depends on what you just said. It all depends on what happens. What happens when he's the head coach? Because there's not a lot of games to go off of with him as head coach. He's 0-1 in his games as head coach because the Bills didn't win that Week 17 game. And then you look at where he's been before, most of them as running backs coaches, but he was running backs coach in Buffalo along with the offensive coordinator with Greg Roman was fired. He was the RB coach in New York with the Jets, Cleveland, Dallas in 05-06, Jacksonville, and then he was a special teams assistant with the Broncos, which started his career. So really has never had that chance. And that's, I don't want this to seem like, oh, well, he's never had a chance at a head coach, so he sucks. That's not what I'm saying. It's just, it's a different animal being a head coach. And the one thing I will say I do like about Anthony Lynn and his personality is he seems like a player coach, which might help the Chargers. Having a player coach who is okay with player input, especially with a guy like Phil. And I don't want to say especially with a guy like Phillip Rivers, but with a guy like Phillip Rivers, who you have to have. If Phillip Rivers is involved in that team, you're going to be successful because Rivers is a smart guy.
Yeah, I definitely think there's potential in that case. It's going to be interesting for sure to see because really Anthony Lynn, as much as people want to say, here's some history on him, this is what he was as a running back coach, this was his time as an offensive coordinator, a lot of these players liked him, but really we don't know that much about him because he's bounced around so much. He's been a little bit everywhere that I don't think we had one concrete time to sit and watch and see, here's what it is. I do get nervous always when I see somebody who, whether it's in the coordinator, the assistant, the position coach type of area, when they bounce around a lot, it makes me nervous. It always makes me nervous.
Well, I gave my answer, my concrete answer to the question of, I'm going to say yes hesitantly that this is the right hire. Final answer before we move on. is Anthony Lynn, final answer, is he the right hire for the Chargers?
I think the best thing they could have done I don't think I've ever mentioned this before, would have been Tom Coughlin. Because this is a big move.
Or Kyle Shanahan.
Kyle Shanahan is because Tom Coughlin wouldn't really happen.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Shanahan would be I think that would have been my go-to guy.
And this is something we're probably going to bring up. So the
answer was no.
Yeah, this is something we're probably going to bring up a lot more in different segments, maybe even the Broncos segment. But with Kyle Shanahan, team being so good, did it hurt him? I mean, we talked about even Matt Patricia with the Patriots.
Yeah.
These are two guys that are still... Todd Haley still coaching in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. These guys not going... Now it's all on the Niners. Who are they going to take?
Yeah. So I don't know if it necessarily hurts them or not, but yeah, I just don't... I don't really think we have enough out of Lynn to put him in this incredibly risky situation. Mm-hmm. That's why I think it's a bad move in that case. But you could totally prove us wrong. And, for Chargers fans, for your sake...
For LA Charger fans.
For all, 4 of you out there, I hope that it works out. Enjoy your new team. We'll talk about you guys more soon.
Well, and as always, this is where you guys come in. Let us know down in the comment section what you guys think, or if you're listening on via Blog Talk Radio, let us know on Twitter at @TheMarkWeber, at Ricky Widmer, what you guys think of this topic. Is Anthony Lynn the right hire for the LA Chargers?
Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and don't worry, there is plenty more where that came from. You guys can check it out right over here. Click that video, start watching it, and just stick around on Most Valuable Podcasts.